I mean, if
trademark.
we hadn't had this podcast, we wouldn't have had a chance to talk to a raccoon. Welcome to amorephillyunion, the podcast where we count our blessings instead of sheep. So here
Special
we
guest,
are.
Danny Kaye.
Yes, exactly.
No, that's
Bing Crosby, actually,
yeah.
and yeah. So that is a White Christmas reference for all you fans out there.
White Christmas reference 1, replacements reference 0.
Yes. So we're just starting. So let's give it time. So here we are at the end of the Union's 15th season, and by several standards, this season didn't go well. In fact, there were quite a few moments of disappointment and even some of devastation. But tonight, as we end this season of the pod, we will acknowledge these moments and let them drift off like leaves on the wind, as our mindful meditation app says, and instead choose to be thankful. Thankful for what we do have and the good things we've experienced with the Union this year and beyond. So I think we wanted to start, as we did talk about this a little bit last week with Nate.
Yeah.
But really just kind of being thankful for Jim Curtin. Just expressing our thoughts about that, and maybe a little bit of a proper send off.
Yeah.
So you guys
Did you want to go first, E or C, or?
I mean, I'll go first, just that way I get the lion's share of all the good stuff, and then
You can get the lower hanging fruit.
yeah, I get the low hanging fruit. No, I just the guy was our coach for 10 years. Is that right?
Yep.
10 years, and yeah, I just appreciate what he's done with his team. I know all the stuff that's been floating out there this week, what was going on behind doors with Tanner and Sugarman and all that, and who knows. But I mean, this guy just embodied, I think he embodied the Philly spirit. I think he helped define the spirit of our team. Kind of you do your talking on the field, and I always appreciated that. And he was always like very honest in his press reports. He just told it like it was, good and bad. And this is the one low hanging fruit I want to rush out in front and grab before anybody else did. And I just still love the line about the whole, hey, if you want to have a street fight, we'll have a street fight. But if you want to play soccer, we can do that too. And
Yep.
I really appreciate that attitude.
Yeah, I think you're right, E, because like we had Peter Novak before, and then we had Hackworth, and it never really felt like either of them really kind of were embraced by the team and by the city the way Jim was. And don't get me wrong, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen right away.
Nope.
But by the end of it, you would have been hard pressed to find too many people that, while they may not have liked him as a coach, they all respected him as a person, and appreciated him as a member of the Philadelphia sports environment.
Yeah, I mean, Phillies fans, we do not give away respect easily. You have to earn it. And I think Curtin demonstrated that. He put in the time, he put in that sincere effort, and I think he earned the respect.
And I think his straight talking went a long way to serve that. Just the fact that he was pretty blatantly honest. Or transparent, maybe that's what the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that other coaches aren't, but he would just say what he was thinking. And it wasn't not like in a brutal way, never, just not in that way where people use that to hide behind so that they can say something nasty. It was never like that. It was just, no, this is what's going on, as much as he possibly could. And I think that endeared him, the genuine nature of that, especially for Philadelphia, being kind of a street talking place. So
yeah, I think that so building on that a little bit, one of the things I always appreciated Jim for was the way he stood up for his players. I mean, he would call them out when they needed to, but he had their back, and he made it very clear that he was there to build the team as best he could, to get the best players on the field, to give the team the best chance to win. And when he needed to, he stood up for them. I mean, we all made comment about his basically politicking for Ali Bedoya to come back. But I mean, he stood up for Andre Blake. He stood up for
Wagner
the
too.
whole defensive line. He stood up for Wagner. He stood up for Leon Flock. I remember him talking, commending Flock for his play in the game. He shares. He definitely likes to point out where the players are doing right. And I think there was a kind of a leadership direction, and praise in public, punish in private. And Jim definitely was never afraid of pointing out where his players did well. Now, to that extent, I also would say he would call people out occasionally if he felt that they needed to, and they would respond by that. But it was very rare that Jim did that. It was really about building up the players and being there for them as a coach.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last week, so I won't belabor it. But I mean, how many times did we see players score and run to Jim?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So, obviously there was a respect there that it's not unheard of, but it's not common. I think that will be greatly missed, and if we see that again soon, great. But I think it might take a few iterations.
It's like Eric said, we give respect slowly. We're willing to do it, but you got to put the effort in.
Yeah. But I mean, among the players, I don't know that it'll be. It's the same thing for them, right? So it'd be interesting to see what happens there.
We were lucky to have Jim. We got spoiled by him.
Yeah, we did.
That's true. Yeah,
it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun watching the team under him and watching him grow as a coach.
He's kind of our homegrown coach in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
He's from just outside of Philly.
Yeah, I mean, he started with the youth players. I want to say he was coaching like the U15s when he first came on board, before he got a assistant coaching spot with Hackworth. And he's basically learned to be a coach here in Philadelphia. And I'm sure he's grateful for that too.
Yeah.
However it ended, I'm sure he's grateful for the time, and he's grateful for what he got to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Jim. You will never hear this, but a sincere, heartfelt thank you from the three of us, and a lot of Union fans beyond us, for sure.
Yeah, just to put those vibes out into the universe. Thank you, Coach Curtin. It was a great 10 years. I would like to see more, but it was a great one while we had it.
Yeah, really wonderful run. Wish we could have had more, and grateful for all the joy that he brought to the players, to the team, to the city. Wonderful to have you.
I think this just reinforces the fact that I think Gareth Bale is some sort of like timeline pirate. He jumped in from another universe, and he totally misdirected our timeline where we would have won that MLS Cup with Coach Curtin, but
it's always comes back to Gareth Bale.
In the space-time continuum.
Okay. Well, expanding that out a little bit.
Sure.
Wanted to also say what we're thankful for in relationship to the Union this year. We've talked a lot about our frustrations, and I think we'd like to close the year on at least a hopeful, if not fully positive, at least hopeful note.
Yep.
So I don't know if one of you guys,
Andre Blake.
That was right in my list.
Yeah, I'm grateful for a stalwart, steady, incredibly capable keeper to back up this team and be an incredibly firm foundation for them to grow on. Whoever's coming in is going to be lucky getting a DP level player at a non-DP price. The way the Union have managed to do it, and that's not to say he's not worth everything he's paid. He certainly is, and this year, as tough as it was, demonstrated the power of the goalkeeper and how much having a player of stellar quality like Andre, and both as a player and as a person, let's be honest, Blake earns that captain's band for a reason. He's always exhorting the team to play harder, to play better, to play faster, to play, with their hearts on their sleeves. And he's definitely, he cheers on the guys when things go well, and he's there to help pick them up, and they pick him up when things go poorly. So, Blake, I think, is a really, really, really lucky. We're lucky to have him, and definitely looking forward to continuing to watch him play for many, many more years.
Yeah. Yeah. We are 100% agree on that, Paul. Yeah. I'll jump in with a quick twofer.
Oh, sure. Just take one more away from Chrissy. Way to go.
Well, this one kind of goes hand in hand. Okay. It's that whole, you don't know what you got till it's gone. So I'm thankful for that, Carranza being on this team. I really just enjoyed having him up there at the top of the triangle of death. And after he left, that was a little bit of a bummer. But I will throw on then Ty Baribo. Yeah, I mean, from the little bit of playing we saw last season, didn't really have, I don't want to say I didn't have high expectations, but there wasn't something there that got me really excited necessarily. And then, when the chips were down or whatever, and he had to step up, man, did that guy step up big time.
Absolutely.
So I'm thankful for for Carranza got us to, and I'm grateful for Baribo for kind of making that position his own and having a lot of success with it.
He seems to play with a certain amount of joy too, which is kind of nice to see. He just seems to really like what he's doing and want to be there in a way that, and it's literally just to be doing that, not as a means to an end, but to just be playing well is at least in part its own reward for him. It would seem, just from watching him.
How about you, Christy?
For me, I this is, I kind of have 2 for 2, but and they're not as related as yours.
I purposely left one off here.
And I think you know what I'm going to say, and that's that we had one more season with Allie.
That too.
So, I mean, whether he was, as present for the team, played as much this season as last season, if I'm not saying he was the most impactful player, but I do feel like when he is on the field, you can feel there's a difference. I think that can be true of other players too. I think I would have said that same thing about Martinez.
Yep. That's the one I left off my list on purpose.
So I'm glad that. Okay, I have 3. Here we go. So, Allie, I'm glad we had him for one more season. I don't know what to expect next season.
Yeah.
I'm prepped and ready, as ready as I can be, more so than I was last season, depending on what goes on. But I feel like he is going to be part of the club going forward.
Yeah, I really hope so.
So that makes me happier than when they just said, "Oh, we're just going to let you go." So hopefully that holds. I'm not glad that Martinez. I'm thankful that he appears to be thriving where he is for his sake. But I am also thankful and this is going to sound weird, but for the genuine emotion he seemed to show. I think I mentioned this the last time too. 100%. But when he was leaving, it seemed like Philly really meant a lot to him, or that, being part of the union, or however you want to phrase it. And that meant a lot as a fan, because I think there have been a lot of things this season that kind of reminded us that this is a business. And of course it's a business. Of course they make money and stuff, but there is an aspect to sports that's about fans and fandom. And I think when the management loses sight of that, that's when things can start to fall apart. And there is something about Martinez's heart when he was leaving, and the fact that he was so sad to leave, and the fact that he fought to come on in that game and take that PK and do all that, when he probably really shouldn't have been there. And also, like, throwing it back to Jim, thankful that he let him do it. And probably wasn't supposed to, and probably was just like, forget it, we're just gonna do it at this point. Thankful for all of that, because that was heartbreakingly joyful to witness. Not to overuse the word joy, but yeah, that was it. And then like finally, this is just a blanket thing. This isn't about this season, but I'm just thankful that we have a team in Philly at all, because I remember before we had that, I mean, occasionally we'd go somewhere to see something, but it was a one-off and your heart wasn't in it in the same way. So, like we went down to DC once to see a match, and, up to the Meadowlands back in the day. But I'm just really grateful they're there.
No, it's an important point to remember that it could be worse. We could just not even have a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really, I mean, it's become such a part of my life, and in a way I never would have expected, not just because of the pod, but just even before that. It's kind of wild. So sorry. I kind of I didn't narrow down my options, but there you go.
But I am thankful that we had the pod this year. I mean,
that's
like we've said a number of times, a joy shared is a joy multiplied, and a sorrow shared is a sorrow divided. And there have been ups that have felt really, really high because we've gotten to talk about it, and there have been frustrations and sorrow that have been ameliorated to an extent because we've gotten to talk through it and share that. Obviously we get to talk a bit, but this is nice because we set aside time most every week. I mean, we missed a couple this year,
but we actually had 1 week we had a double. So
I do appreciate this opportunity to get online and chat with the two of you. I mean, even if it's something silly about the union, or still, we get that, but we also have some time before and after the recordings for us to catch up, and it's good. I really do appreciate this pod opportunity, this poddertunity.
I mean, if we hadn't had this podcast, we wouldn't have had a chance to talk to a raccoon.
I forgot. I got to put that on my list. I was
Raccoonio.
I was this year. Actually, Chrissy, you can go first because I went first, so you can go ahead.
I was for me, and this is might be a little bit more me than you guys. I don't know, but like I like that we're sort of part of some aspect of the community around the union now too. So like being on social media and kind of reaching out. We talked to We the Union's Gabe earlier this season. We kind of have a Twitter relationship with the One Team We Agree On, which is another pod. And
Alyssa Radu back again this year.
That's right. Yeah. Hoping to talk to a little bit more to the folks from that podcast. But yes, Alyssa, having her on, so it's just been it's interesting, and it's a nice little world to be part of. And it is kind of small,
it is,
because we are definitely the other team of Philadelphia sports, right? But but that's also kind of nice because it's not 1,000 people saying exactly the same thing all the time.
Yeah, this season for us, for the podcast, it felt bigger than last season, which is to be kind of expected, right? We got this momentum, I mean, how do you not have a bigger season when you got Ali Bedoya giving us encouragement to keep going? I really enjoyed this season. I really love that we branched out to bringing in outside people to come onto the podcast and talk with them. From Mel and Jim. I think they were. I guess Alyssa was our first one of the interview that we did. She has the honor from the Philadelphia Union Foundation. She's got the honor of being our first interview guest on the podcast, and then just right into Mel and Jim and their experiences with St. Louis and Como, Italy, which I still share that story.
That's awesome.
But connecting with Gabe over at We the Union. Super fan Nate, that was great having him on last week. Even like I like to think we're knocking down barriers. We had a New York Red Bull fan on, with our good friend Mark. So that was I really enjoyed that one too. It was kind of interesting getting another fan's experience, but with all these, it's just kind of fun to see that common interest or even common thread, right? That in order to form a more Philly union, right? That's kind of feel like we're living up to our name a little bit more this season, and I hope to continue doing more of that next season too.
It's funny the way we find connection with something as simple as a ball and something to kick it through. That's essentially what soccer is.
Yeah. Human beings, we're not very complicated when you get right to it.
It's a beautiful game, kids.
Yeah.
So, ultimately, I think we can round out our thankfulness here. We're saying that not only are we thankful for the pod, and for the larger unionverse, those we've met and those we have yet to meet, but really just for our listeners as well. Just thank you.
Absolutely.
Obviously, I mean, this is something that, Paul mentioned, we definitely do it because we kind of did it anyway, but this formalizes it. And I think it makes it more regular too. Yes, I think, absolutely. But we're thankful that you'll listen to our ramblings and our obscure references and or semi-obscure.
You keep coming back.
And you keep coming back.
We're getting them.
And we appreciate that. Yeah. And share with your union friends, if they want to hear three people just sort of ramble for a little bit. Yeah. And just get that nice cozy feeling of you're not in it alone. And definitely reach out to us, comment on our posts, let us know. I mean, I'm not looking for you to feed the algorithm. I just really think all three of us would love to hear from you and what you're thinking about the union world. So feel free to email us. We'll get to that part later. Yeah. But we're
not signing off just yet.
Yeah, we're on all the socials, so definitely, just feel free to reach out and we'd love to hear from you.
Actually, related to that, I will throw a thankful message to Christy, right, for running all of our social media stuff. I mean, it's, to be fair, it's through you that we linked up with most of these people, and so kudos to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. It's a lot of work that you do to keep us up on social, and it's much appreciated that you get out there and make those connections and talk with all the people. Keep Superfan Nate fed with all the interaction. It's great. Much appreciated.
Yeah, even to our listeners out there, like if anything on the socials, I mean, it's 99.9% likely it's going to be Christy, the one you're going to be talking with. So,
yeah, for good or for ill. But
I was just saying, I look forward to seeing that spike in traffic now after this episode comes out.
And I want to thank Eve for doing all the editing work, the heavy lifting of the editing, because you don't always hear it as listeners, but some of these podcasts can go around in circles quite a bit, and he does a wonderful job of taking out a lot of ums and ahs and other fillers and multiple repeats of openings. So I know it's a labor of love, and that you work the hours that you work and way late at night. So thank you, E, for doing all of that.
Happy to. I mean, it totally my whatever level of OCD. I always like. I find myself like, I got to cut out this half of a second, and it's like, no, you don't. Yeah, I do.
And to finish this triad of thankfulness and love, thank you, Paul, for really kind of driving the conversation in certain instances and having that expertise that, I mean, Eric and I are super fans. I think you have the nuance of the game in a way that, I'll speak for myself, that I don't always have. Yeah. So I appreciate that expertise that you bring.
I'm glad it's more than just my pretty face.
And your humility.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I remember saying this last year, I think at the end of the season when we talked about the podcast, that just as I'm going through all the editing, there's so many times. I mean, even Christy, you too, but Paul with the technical stuff. It's like, well, this didn't happen, or this and this happened during the game. And then like, again, it's one of the things that I'm constantly trying to improve on is being a more present listener and conversationalist in these podcasts because you'll throw that out there and I just move right past it. It's like, come on, dude. Like Paul just dropped a gold nugget of like stuff to talk about. And then I'm moving on trying to figure out a work in a replacements reference, But so yeah.
Oh, is everybody tired of us yet?
Yeah.
Are you still here? Because we have more stuff. I'm turning it over to you now. I believe this is your doing from here on out.
So as we alluded to, this is probably be our last, maybe kind of wrap.
This is our last official.
End of the season.
This is the end of the season, so we're wrapping up, and so it's an episode of gratitude, thankfulness, and what other synonyms fit into that. But we want to have a little bit of fun. It's kind of like our little other holiday party, which, in my opinion, Thanksgiving is probably one of the best holidays to have a party. And so, to celebrate, to be thankful, to have some fun, we are now introducing. Actually, hold on. Let me do one thing real quick.
Oh boy.
Yep. Be afraid. Okay. So, end of the season. We're having fun, having a little bit of party here. So we decided to do one more second round through of hopefully will become a fairly regular thing. And that is what I like to call Welcome to the Union Dome.
You did that live last time?
Yeah, we did that live.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, that was not a pre-recorded intro.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought he put the music in later.
No, it's like the Chris Nolan of podcasting. I like to do it all in camera as much as I can.
So I'll start walking backwards.
All right. So welcome to this holiday edition of the Union Dome, what I like to call Union Dome 2 Turkey Bowl Extravaganza. In this edition, Paul and Christy will stack the brackets with their picks of any Union personality, from players to coaches to staff to anyone that is connected to the Union in any way, past or present, where we're going to have an elimination challenge where each pairing of contestants of players will go head to head in some sort of random question competition where we find out who would be the victor in that scenario. So we're going to do this like last time. We're going to do basically quarterfinal bracket setup. So 8 initial players, contestants, and you guys, Paul and Christy, are going to stack them. I guess we'll alternate A, B, kind of. I'm going to, I guess, referee or MC this thing. So I might jump into conversations as needed. But
one point of order, Ali Bedoya won the last round.
Yes.
Last round, is that mean he is not available for selection?
Good question. No. So Ali's out. Okay, so no Ali Bedoya. Oh, he is in.
Sorry. Yeah,
he is selectable.
Okay,
he is selectable.
I mean,
well, because the questions are so. I mean,
they're so random.
I think it's okay.
I mean, and we can make the argument he has to defend his title anyway. So, so what we're gonna do is Paul and Christy, and if you want to play at home, feel free to do this. Get a friend of yours. Do a quarterfinal bracket down to a final. So eight entries. We're gonna go A, Paul, Christy, and then for the quarterfinal there'll be 4 head-to-heads, and I have 4 scenarios that I will allow, I guess, Paul and Christy to randomly choose, and then we'll find out of that pairing, of that head-to-head, who is more likely to, I don't know, be successful, to win in that particular competition, or whatever we want to call it. So,
oh boy, okay.
As the referee, we're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2. So I guess 1, 2, 3, 4. So odd, even. Christy, since this is the first Union Dome for you, I think we should let you have the first pick. So we'll start you off in position 1. Who would you like to pick? Any Union persona, past, present, whatever you want to do.
Just pick. There's no criteria here at this point.
I will say this. As last time, quarterfinal round are kind of more standard sports related questions or situations. Okay. Semifinal, it gets a little bit more off the beaten path, and the final is, as we knew what the final was last time, who would Christy rather go to dinner with? So just to kind of give you a heads up of where this may head.
Okay. Shoot. Past or present, right?
Past, present. I mean, if you want to do, and I can't remember
We
his name.
picked Paul Rushing in the last round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And
I know.
Marquinhos, I believe.
Yeah.
Probably.
You know, we
Well,
could do
I'll just
like the announcer. I can't
I
remember
know
his
we
name.
had Fang.
Oh.
Yeah. Whatever you want. You know,
I'll go Le2.
That's a
two.
good solid pick.
So the 2 is in there. Slot and spot number 1. Paul, you got spot number 2.
Spot number 2.
Or
so
so
I'm thinking.
So they will be going up against, or actually maybe we should start from the opposite side. No. We'll just go. So who do you want to go up against Latu in some
I feel
random
like should I break out a die and we just roll and see which number it is? So for whatever slot this one falls into, I'm gonna go Zach McMath.
This is number 4.
Oh,
Wow.
We both
dang.
pick previous Union players, although McMath actually is still playing.
And I believe he's Mac Math, right? Not Mick.
I believe that's case.
MACMATH.
Okay.
Yes.
So that one's a slot number 4.
Okay.
All right, Christy, you're up.
In honor of Nate, super fan Nate.
Yep.
And he did get back to us after last week and said that Connor Casey he thought would be an interesting pick for a coach. So in honor of Nate, and so he can kind of sort of participate here, I'm going to say Connor Casey.
Oh, good call. Well, that's going in slot number 2 against Sebastian Latu.
All right.
Paul?
That's a good one. I'm going to throw a little more love to the defense and go with Jack Elliott.
Jack Elliott.
There you go.
All right, that is going in slot number 7. I believe that's Elliott with 1 L, right? Or is it 2?
Two L's, 2 T's.
Okay. That leaves us 4 slots left.
So since you said the announcer, we will go with the stadium announcer, Kevin Casey.
There it is.
Nice.
I can remember that. That's in slot number 8 against Jack Elliott.
Sure.
All right. Paul?
All right. This one actually has a little personal connection. I remember tweeting at this player that Nate was super excited. I forget what picture. I don't know if it was one of his previous teams.
I think I know who this is.
He had this player's jersey number on in the picture, and I tweeted it to him, and he didn't respond. He just liked it. He may have responded and said something something along the lines of, this is part of why you play. That kids will wear your jersey and stuff like that. So I'm going with Danny Cruz.
That's who I thought. Number 44, I believe.
I believe so. Yeah, one of the few players who, while in possession of the ball, could tackle another player and send him to the ground.
All right, we're down to our last 2. So, Chrissy, this is your last pick.
So this is interesting for me because it's like, do I throw in Allie because he's my fave? Or like you said, Paul, I mean, not just because of this, but he did win last time.
Do you want to take Allie out of the fight here? Do you think that's what he wants?
I mean, is he already in the
bench?
Union Dome Ring of Honor?
Ring of Honor.
So why don't we do this? We'll do Quinn Sullivan in a little tribute to his season.
Well, he's going up against Danny Cruz, according to our random number generator, which, Paul, you now have the last one and you know where it's going. It's
Christie's favorite Drexel Dragon, Chris Donovan.
Chris Donovan. Alrighty. So it's a little bit random here. So let me kind of recap for everyone that's listening. So we have our 4 quarterfinal matchups. Matchup 1 is Latu versus Connor Casey. Matchup 2 will be Chris Donovan versus Zach McMath. Matchup 3 will be Danny Cruz versus Quinn Sullivan, and matchup number 4 will be Jack Elliott versus legend announcer Kevin Casey.
Hey, we could have a Casey on Casey final here if things
that could work. That could work. Why not? Okay, so we'll go in order then. We'll start with at the top with Latu versus Connor Casey. And so I have 4 scenarios here. So we don't have any extra. So we will use all of them for the quarterfinal. So quarterfinal will have their own scenarios. Semifinals will have their own, and then the final will have its own. So, so Christy, since you got to do the first pick, and this is your first Union Dome, basically give me a number between 1 and 4, and that'll be the scenario that Sebastian Latu will face off against Connor Casey.
3.
3. Yeah, okay. Not the most exciting, but here we go. In the matchup between Sebastian Letou and Connor Casey, and I guess as back when they were players, who do you think has the cleaner, more orderly locker?
Ooh.
So you guys have to.
I don't think there's a question here, personally.
I have a guess, but I'm the impartial.
You said you don't think there's a question here?
I don't think
about
there's a
this?
question here. I don't.
All right.
But
well,
that's just my opinion.
I know. I'm curious who you think.
Letou.
You think so? Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
He kind of strikes you as kind of a little more Felix than Oscar.
Mhm. Yes.
And once,
His hair barely moved when he ran.
well, Casey didn't have any hair.
I mean, fair. Not wrong.
I will say this. Remember when they did those like little like MTV cribs with the players? And I think Letou living with what was his name?
Oh gosh.
At the time. And of course you're gonna clean up your place before a camera crew comes in. But I just remember like their townhouse, whatever, was just absolutely immaculate. Oh yeah, what was his name? It wasn't a Far fan. It was I could see his face too. Kyle. It's a Kyle. It's Kyle.
It's a lot of Kyles.
Kyle.
I don't think that Casey was a messy player.
No.
But I think he was messier than Letou. So while I would say that wouldn't this be a slam dunk in my mind, I really don't disagree. I do think it would be Letou that would have the
Right.
cleaner locker.
Chrissy, do you agree with this?
I agree with that. Yeah.
All right, in our first matchup, I got to make like the referee hand signals. In the matchup of Sebastian Letou versus Connor Casey on who would have the cleaner, more orderly locker, Letou is the winner.
All right.
All right.
The Frenchman moves on.
Yeah, he moves on to the semifinals. Okay, in our second matchup between Chris Donovan and Zach McMath. Paul, give me a number, I guess 1, 2, or 4, or whatever. 1, 2, 3.
All right, we'll go with 4.
Number 4. All righty. Okay, so in the matchup of Chris Donovan versus Zach McMath, and I think this is going to be a hard one to figure out who wins. Who would be more likely to show up late for practice?
Wait a minute.
Ooh.
I have to look at this again.
This might be our first coin toss.
It really kind of is. I mean, Zach has been playing a lot longer than Chris. Maybe he figures he's a keeper. He's been doing this a while longer. If the coach is really going to get upset, was he going to put a backup keeper in it? Not likely. And he's older. I don't know if Zach is married. Maybe he has kids. I'm actually going to go with Zach McMath is more likely to show up late to practice.
Kind of like that veteran status. Like he put the time in, so he's getting that little bit of leeway.
And he's a keeper. They're always a little odd.
Yeah.
not to paint with a broad brush, but yeah.
Andre Blake is a saint.
I didn't say they were bad. I just said they're odd.
It's interesting because I kind of have the opposite. Well, maybe not opposite, but a different logic, and that's just that Chris Donovan being younger.
You can be wrong.
so can you. And with Chris Donovan being younger, that I don't know.
Liable to be out partying.
Or just.
But they're only soccer players. I mean, I don't know how much they get paid. When
they used to. So
actually, know exactly how much they get.
Well, yeah, but I mean, so I don't know. I would actually, my head was going towards Chris Donovan. So does that mean you're a tiebreaker, E?
No, I'm not. I'm just
referring. Or we have to come to consensus.
You got to convince. Yeah, you guys have to come to consensus. I guess if you guys want to profess gridlock or whatever you want to call it, I will flip a coin. But
no, we can talk a little more through this. So you're of a mind that Chris is liable to be out partying and over
not partying, just sort of like maybe just have a different attitude and although I don't know, it could go both ways because you can also be young and hungry, right? So
yeah. young,
But
scrappy, and hungry.
that was where my head, yeah, exactly. That's where my head went. Went
I would also
initially,
say,
though.
Zach, I believe, is playing for a returning coach. Chris is going to have to be showing up for whoever's taking over the union, and he's going to need to make sure he makes a good impression. So I think Chris is going to be making sure he's there on time with whoever.
I almost feel like we're answering two different questions, though, because I almost feel like it's sort of like what you're saying is who can show up late and get away with it. And what I'm answering is like who's more likely to actually show up like late because they did something, just out of inexperience or miss their alarm or, just thinking it doesn't matter when it does or something like that. I don't know. It feels like we're answering two different questions here. So
I will reiterate the question. Who is more likely to show up late to practice? For whatever reasons, but who is more likely to show up late?
In the interest of keeping this moving, I'm happy to concede.
All right, there we go. McMath moves on. I'll take the win.
That's the last time.
Well, for what it's worth, I think I did like Paul's answer, right? Because with Zach being the veteran player, I could see them, it's kind of like being like it was like a more senior officer. You're allowed to walk in a little bit late, but Donovan being a young guy, I could see him. He's not going to be late. He is, as to borrow what you said, Christy, young, scrappy, and hungry. But who knows?
Next matchup.
All right. In the third quarterfinal matchup between Danny Cruz and Quinn Sullivan. So, Christy, you're going to pick this one. 1 or 2?
1.
All right. Again, this one might be kind of difficult. Maybe not. In the matchup between Danny Cruz and Quinn Sullivan, who do you think, barring from the social media video you showed me earlier, who do you think would be better at downhill skiing?
Ooh. I think Cruz is not afraid of the speed. Sullivan has some silky smooth moves. And he's got those quads. I'm going with Sullivan.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the correct answer.
Yeah.
I think
no offense to Danny, but man, the quad father's got that one locked up with the just the power through the turns.
I would just like to say you were thinking of, I believe, Kyle Nakazawa.
That's who it was. And I got his name right. It is Kyle.
You got it right.
Latu's his one of his first roommates, I think. They had a house together.
In Westchester.
Yeah. Wow. Good little bit of internet sleuthing there or researching.
I'm gonna find it eventually.
Yeah, you can't hide on the internet.
Nope.
All right, so in that
video.
What's that?
She probably found the video.
Yeah, it's probably in there somewhere.
If she doesn't yet, she will in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, give me a few minutes.
So in that third quarterfinal matchup between Danny Cruz and Quinn Sullivan, who would be better at downhill skiing? Quinn Sullivan emerges as victor, which then brings us to our fourth and final quarterfinal matchup between Jack Elliott and Kevin Casey. And this is an interesting question. I think you can interpret it kind of for both, I think. So in the fourth quarterfinal matchup between Jack Elliott and Kevin Casey, our legendary announcer, who is more likely to spend extra time with Paul Cushing, the physio?
Define extra time.
It's
anything
from. Well, I don't want to say anything. You guys. Well, I'll say it. It's either like, maybe you are getting extra, PT or stuff, or, maybe it's the water cooler stuff, around the offices.
You're hanging out at Union Yards.
Exactly. I did not specify in what capacity you're hanging out with Paul Cushing. You're just hanging out with Paul Cushing or spending time with Paul Cushing.
I want to say Kevin Casey, but I think my answer has to be Jack Elliott.
Yeah, same.
I will say this as official Union Dome master. I don't know.
Magistrate.
Yeah, you vote how you want this game to go to. But if you guys,
No, I think we both agree that
okay.
Elliott's more likely to spend time with him. I mean, I don't know how much Kevin Casey's how much time Kevin Casey spends around the stadium outside of the game days.
Yeah. A certain amount, I would think, but
Yeah.
not more.
I think he actually has other announcing work jobs that he does. So, he's got other things going on in his
I
life.
thought I read he was a teacher as well. Like his actual day job is teacher.
I remember hearing an interview with him. That might be right.
Check that fact, but yeah, I thought he was like I want to say math teacher, but I think that's don't at me, folks. I'm not claiming that to be true.
But Kevin, feel free to reach out if
Yes, Kevin can correct me though. Please feel free.
All right,
love that.
let's move on to the semifinals.
All right, so we got 2 semifinal matchups.
Wait, super quick. Sorry, I did actually write to him, Kevin Casey, on Twitter at once and tell him how much I love that he sounded like he was about to be sick whenever he had to announce a goal.
Oh yeah.
And he wrote back and said, "That's because that's how I actually feel." So especially since we have eliminated him now, I do want to get in that little story. Okay,
nice.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to slow your roll there.
Oh no. Okay, so we have 2 semifinal matchups. The first semifinal matchup is Sebastian Le2 versus Zach McMath, and the second semifinal matchup is Quinn Sullivan versus Jack Elliott. So for the semifinal, Paul, we'll let you pick first. So this will be semifinal number 1 matchup, Le2 against McMath. 1 or 2, Paul?
Let's go on.
Okay. This could be interesting. So in the first semifinal matchup between Sebastian Le2 and Zach McMath, whose Thanksgiving spread and celebration would you want to be at?
Oh, come on now.
This isn't even a question, right, Christy? We both want to go to Le2's.
Okay. So
for the food. I'm basing it solely on the food.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I know that Le2 is from France.
Right.
And that they have different customs as far as harvest festivals and such like that. Thanksgiving time frame. But he's married to a girl from Philadelphia.
Right.
And I believe he probably can cook very well. So not to slate Zach, I think the spread's going to be more impressive at Le2's house.
I just have to interject here. I know I'm supposed to be impartial, but I will say if there's anything resembling inspiration from French cuisine and all the various fats that they include, it's going to be hard not to go that way.
I mean, just the sheer amount of butter that's going to be on that table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. I mean, I think you make a good case. I mean, my initial thought was, yeah, obviously he has a lot of American ties, so I'm sure he does celebrate Thanksgiving. But that was my initial thought, was like, what is that spread going to be like? But yeah, no, I'll go Le2 as well on that.
And again, not to slate Zach. I think he's gonna not a fine spread, but
it's not binary. It's just who wins out. Yeah.
If I had only one ticket to go to, it's like, Zach, I will absolutely want to get you on the second pass, but I got to go check that out because I know there's going to be not just turkey. I'm envisioning like there's going to be duck. There's going to be,
quail.
Yeah, it's going to be
guinea fowl of some sort.
Yeah. I'm also getting hungry as we're doing this, even though it's late at night. Okay. So in that first semifinal matchup between Sebastian Le2 and Zach McMath, on the challenge of whose Thanksgiving spread and celebration would you rather be at or prefer or choose to be at, it is Sebastian Le2 moves on to the final. Okay, which then brings us to the second semifinal matchup between Quinn Sullivan and Jack Elliott. And this will be interesting. Actually, this will be one pretty interesting. So, second semifinal, Quinn Sullivan versus Jack Elliott. Who's more likely to actually enjoy watching Hallmark holiday movies?
Oh,
I feel like Hallmark holiday movies are they're that brain candy that you don't really start appreciating until you're in your 30s or 40s, and you're like, you know what? I'm
Half
okay
a bottle
with
of wine.
I'm okay with a totally happy ending saccharine type of a movie. I feel like, when you're younger, you're looking for something with a little more edge. So personally, I'm gonna go with Elliot, even though I don't know how prevalent they are in England where he grew up.
Not at all,
You
I would hope, because they are very embarrassing about royalty and how
Oh.
silly it is.
So you've read. So you've read.
Yeah, so I've read. No, I mean, I'll admit, it's as the news headlines get weirder and worse, Hallmark becomes that much more appealing to me.
Hey,
It's shameful, but it's true. No, it's not shameful. I'm not gonna shame anybody, including myself, for that.
And I think too, in a way,
Interesting
just
argument.
adding a little bit extra flavor. I would say like they actually enjoy watching it, whether or not that they admit it or whatever, but you can interpret that.
now that
actually.
said, maybe Quinn grew up in a household that his mom just always had them on during the Christmas time. That is possible.
Or his dad, you don't know.
True. And again, not casting shade one way or the other.
Yeah.
But maybe he grew up in a household where they just, from Thanksgiving on, they would just default to the Hallmark channel and always have them all. Now you can't. I mean, even Netflix has their own versions of these things coming on. I think the Home Shopping Network had sponsored a couple of those movies. So yeah,
it's out of hand. Yeah, I mean, I was actually my thought went to Quinn. I hear what you're saying, and I agree about like the something with that's a little cooler, that it's more eye rolly when you're younger. But Jack's not that much older, and Jack is also British,
Jack's
and I don't want to
29.
stereotype. Yeah, but I mean, it is, and it is. It's not like he's 40,
No, but compared to a 20-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know, but. I'm going to paint with a broad brush and say Jack is British, and I just don't know that.
But Jack's
Hallmark,
married to. I wonder if he's married. Actually,
he is married to. I believe. Actually, you're right. I'm not sure. I think she's an American. It's sorry, not. Why did I say it? She is an American girl, I think. But
So where are you going?
Fair. I'm kind of still with Quinn, maybe from a nostalgia angle, not telling his friends ever that he watches them angle, Jack being British angle, and maybe not being able to handle that level of saccharine and emoting. And, I mean, hashtag not all Brits, I guess, but, still, that I'm in of these two options, which aren't ideal for the question, but I'm kind of leaning Quinn.
All right, well, let's go Quinn. I'll give you this one.
All right.
I could see that. I could see Elliot not really watching a lot of television at this time of year. I could see, Sullivan just kind of leaving it on in the background while he's doing something and maybe whatever.
Some kind of comfort TV or something. I don't know.
Yeah. In all honesty, I'm not even sure if Sullivan's on his own at this point or if he's still at home with the family.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're on in his house, whether he likes it or not.
Exactly.
So.
All right. Well, in that second semifinal matchup between Quinn Sullivan and Jack Elliott, and the competition of who would more likely actually enjoy watching Hallmark holiday movies, Quinn Sullivan emerges victorious. I really thought you were going to go with Elliot. I could see Elliot just because he's British, just sitting on the sofa, like snacking away, just kind of like absolutely what do you call it? Like just enthralled by just the silliness of this, and just because they're so ridiculous to him that like you just kind of have to watch.
Yeah,
them. But
I don't know. I mean, I think you could argue it back and forth for a while, but yeah.
Missy Liteau returning home to her childhood town.
God. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
From her law firm in the city.
Missy Liteau. Oh, God. All right.
So in the competition of Sebastian Liteau versus Quinn Sullivan for the final for this Union Dome champion title, if the AMPU studios had a holiday party, who would make the better Santa to give out end of the season gifts and cheer and merriment?
There is one answer,
Yeah.
and it is heavily accented with no shade to our beloved Quinn. Latu has a sense of humor, so I think for me it's Latu all day.
Yeah, no, I agree. Especially since you included the not just being Santa, but also the merriment and stuff like that. I think I have to go with Latu as well.
All right. Well,
I would love to see that happen.
I'm probably sure there's a video out there somewhere at some Christmas party. All right. Well. So in this Union Dome competition, Union Dome 2, the Turkey Bowl Extravaganza, the winner and second champion is Sebastian Latu.
Which anybody who knows the three of us should not be surprised. They have Bedoya followed by Latu.
I like to think we're predicting what the Ring of Honor is going to look like in the not too distant future. We'll have to do the next one. We have Jim Curtin in the lineup.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
If it
or Andre
portends
Blake.
well. All right. Well, that concludes this Union Dome. And we are kind of wrapping up this episode of the podcast, and actually kind of wrapping up the season a little bit.
Yep.
So since this is we're wrapping up season 2 here, want to do just a little something. I'm not sure where we're going to go with this ultimately, but I figure I'll start with us. So Paul, I didn't get a chance to mail this off to you. So next time I see you, I'll be sure to have one with us. So Christy, you're going to open up basically for you and Paul, but this is our little end of season 2 gift, holiday gift, Thanksgiving gift. So you can go ahead and open it, Christy.
Should I turn my audio off because it's going to be crinkly?
Go ahead. No, leave it on.
That'll be fun. She's smiling. She's laughing. I don't know what it is she's seen. Sorry, hang on a second. I need a more Philly Union with a raccoon on it.
In the style of the, I guess, original or at least 80s Wawa logo.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So Paul, I put up on the screen there, I don't know if you can see it, the actual kind of sample shot that
nice,
the good folks at this internet site provide. So cool. I'm glad you got the reference, Christy. I wasn't sure if it was gonna totally come through or not. So
absolutely.
And the logo's on both sides. So
nice.
So next time I see you, Paul, I got one of these.
Thank you
on it.
Zazzle.
Yeah. Good folks at Zazzle.
That's awesome.
Thank you. That is very cool.
Happy Thanksgiving, all of us.
And it's Thanksgiving colors too.
And it's Thanksgiving colors.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
All righty. Well, Christy, do you want to take us home?
Oh, yeah, sure. Please hold. Okay, so if you want to get in touch with us, even though this is the end of our season, we are still here and we will still be online. So our website is amorephillyunion.com. You can email us at pod@amorephillyunion.com. We are on Twitter as amorephillyU, and on Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and now we just joined Blue Sky Social as amorephillyunion.
Oh, nice. Cool.
And nothing really posted there yet until this goes up, and then there will be. So just dipping our toe in that. But we also have a Spotify playlist, also under Amorephilly Union, but the playlist. So it's got musical notes. You've got it. I believe in you. You can find it. And get our podcast wherever you get yours: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Joe's Podcatcher, whatever you got. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another episode, last episode of season 2.
Another season
of Amorephilly Union. We are your hosts. I'm C.
I'm E.
And I'm Paul. Go
Union!
There we go. Paul's got the blanket, the Union blanket.
There it is. He's prepped and ready.
For the win. He's got it.
I just have the space heater going under the desk.
Oh, good.
All right. So, do you want to stop and start again, or is that good enough?
Yeah, I can. Oops.
That's about right.
Paul's like, what is the meaning of Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown?
Lights, please.